There's a strange power shift that happens when a woman ignores a man. Most guys panic, start chasing, and lose control of the entire dynamic. But what if you flip the script? What if instead of reacting, you became the reason she starts questioning herself? Because here's the truth. When a woman chooses silence, she's not just testing you, she's observing your emotional discipline, and the man who can stay calm in that silence always wins. Welcome back to the channel. This is where we break down what most men never learn about attraction, power, and emotional control. And in this video, we're talking about something every man faces at some point. Being ignored by a woman you actually care about. But instead of chasing her validation, I'll show you how to shift the energy so she begins to wonder if she made a mistake. Understand this. When a woman ignores you, she's looking for a reaction. The moment you try to prove yourself, you confirm that she's in control. But when you respond with silence, composure, and quiet confidence, you plant a seed of doubt in her mind. She starts asking herself questions. Did I lose his interest? Did I go too far? Was he even that invested in me? This video will teach you how to carry yourself in a way that reverses the emotional pressure, calmly, intelligently, and without games. Because once you master that, she won't just question her decision, she'll question her own value in your life. Before we start the video, I want to remind you that my exclusive online course on mastering the dating game is available now. If you've been learning from my YouTube videos, you're only scratching the surface. This course goes deeper, teaching you everything you need to know about the dating game, from approaching a woman to building real attraction. We just finished section 5 in the course, and you won't find this information on videos on my channel. It's easy to access with a secure payment option. Visit stoicapproachtolife.podia.com or click the link in the description to enroll now and improve your dating life. 1. The power of silence. Silence is one of the most underrated tools a man can ever master. When a woman ignores you, most men do the exact opposite of what they should. They talk more, text more, and try to explain themselves. They think that by communicating harder, she'll somehow start caring again. But silence is not about ignoring her back. It's about showing that you don't need her attention to validate your worth. That is what makes it powerful. When a woman decides to pull away, she's watching how you'll react. She wants to see if you'll crumble under uncertainty or if you'll stand firm in your self-control. Silence becomes your statement. It tells her that you don't chase where you're not valued. It tells her that your peace means more than her temporary attention. And that message sinks deeper than any words could ever reach. The power of silence lies in how it shifts the emotional pressure. When you stop reacting, she's left with her own thoughts. She starts questioning why you're not trying anymore. Did you lose interest? Did she overplay her hand? Has she been replaced? That quiet space forces her to reflect. And that reflection breeds curiosity, even regret. The same silence she once used to control you now starts working against her. Men who understand this principle never look desperate, because silence teaches restraint. It shows maturity, confidence, and emotional independence. You're not playing a game. You're choosing peace over chaos. And women can feel that difference. They can sense when a man is grounded enough not to beg for their attention. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the ability to remain composed while she tries to figure out what changed. And in that quiet, she begins to realize something powerful. The man who doesn't chase, the man who can disappear without resentment, is the man she cannot forget. 2. Detachment attracts. Detachment isn't about pretending not to care. It's about being free from emotional dependence. When a woman ignores you, it's easy to spiral into anxiety, constantly checking your phone or replaying old conversations. But that's exactly what destroys your power. The man who can detach, who can remain calm while she pulls away, becomes the man she starts to wonder about. Because detachment radiates control, and control is deeply attractive. Most men misunderstand detachment. They think it means cutting off feelings or acting cold, but it's not that at all. It's understanding that your emotions are yours to manage, not hers to manipulate. Detachment means your happiness doesn't rely on her response. Whether she texts you back or disappears, you remain centered. That's rare, and women notice it immediately. Think about it. When you stop chasing, you remove her sense of emotional security. She was used to your attention, your energy, your availability, but now your focus has shifted. You're investing that energy back into yourself. You're improving your life, building your confidence, and living with purpose again. Suddenly the power dynamic changes. She starts wondering why you no longer react. That uncertainty builds intrigue, and intrigue builds attraction. Detachment isn't indifference, it's strength. It's showing her that while you cared, you never needed her to feel complete. A detached man doesn't lose himself in emotion. He uses it to grow. He doesn't seek closure, validation, or pity. He knows that walking away with dignity says more than 1,000 texts ever could. And here's the beauty of it. Once you truly detach, you stop performing. You stop trying to appear confident because you actually are. You stop trying to make her jealous because your focus is genuinely elsewhere. That authenticity is magnetic. Women are drawn to men who live with self-respect and inner calm, not those who crumble when ignored. Detachment attracts because it shows maturity and control. It tells her, I want you, but I don't need you. That single mindset shift changes everything. It makes you the man she questions, the man she replays in her mind, the man she realizes she might have underestimated. When you detach, you don't lose her. You often make her chase, because real power isn't in reacting. It's in staying still while the world around you moves. 3. Show your value. When a woman ignores you, your instinct might be to remind her of your worth through words, telling her what she's missing, or proving that you're the good guy. But value isn't something you talk about. It's something you show. The moment you start explaining your worth, you've already lost power. Real value is silent, observable, and undeniable. It speaks through how you live, not what you say. The biggest mistake men make after being ignored is centering their attention around her. They overthink every move, what she's thinking, who she's talking to, what she's posting. Meanwhile, their own lives fall apart in the background. That's where most men lose the game. Because your value as a man isn't measured by how much attention you give her, but by how much purpose you bring into your own life. Showing your value starts with recentering yourself. It's about improving your lifestyle, health, appearance, and mindset. Not to impress her, but to strengthen your foundation. When she sees you doing better without her, it forces a psychological shift. She begins to question her decision. She starts thinking, maybe he wasn't as dependent as I thought. The very absence of need becomes your attraction. This is why self-improvement after rejection is so powerful. It's not revenge, it's realignment. You take all that emotional energy you used to waste chasing her and channel it into building something valuable. Start working out, elevate your social life, chase new goals, explore new interests. When your life becomes more fulfilling, your energy changes. You radiate confidence instead of desperation, purpose instead of pain, and women can feel that shift from miles away. But remember, showing your value isn't about posting fake confidence online or trying to make her jealous. That's performative. True value is when your progress is genuine, when you don't need her to see it for it to matter. Because when you genuinely level up, the proof speaks for itself. She'll sense it through your silence, your new habits, your calm tone, and your consistency. Men who understand this principle don't chase validation, they attract curiosity. They stop worrying about being chosen and start focusing on becoming unignorable. The truth is, a woman will always question herself when she sees a man grow in her absence, because deep down, she knows she was part of your motivation, and now she's watching you turn that pain into power. When you show your value, you remind her and yourself that losing her wasn't the end of your story. It was the start of your evolution. And that's when everything changes. Because once she sees you thriving without her, she won't just question her decision. she'll question whether she ever truly knew your worth at all. 4. The quiet comeback. Imagine this. A guy named Daniel was in a relationship with a woman he really cared about. Things were good at first, but over time she started pulling away. Texts became shorter, her interest faded, and one day she just stopped replying altogether. Daniel felt that familiar mix of confusion and frustration most men experience. His first instinct was to chase, to send another text, to call, to ask what went wrong. But this time he did something different. He went quiet. At first the silence was uncomfortable. He wanted to explain himself, to remind her of what they had. But instead, Daniel focused on something most men forget. His response was his message. He didn't block her, didn't post sad quotes online, didn't try to make her jealous. He simply redirected his energy back into his life. He hit the gym harder, reconnected with old friends, started dressing better, and got serious about his personal goals. Weeks went by and she began to notice. He wasn't blowing up her phone. He wasn't begging for attention. Instead, he looked more confident, more focused, even happier. That's when curiosity kicked in. Because the quiet comeback isn't about making noise. It's about letting your growth speak for itself. When a man like Daniel stops chasing and starts improving, something shifts psychologically for the woman. The silence becomes louder than words. She starts asking herself, did he move on that easily? Was I not as important as I thought? Has someone else caught his attention? That uncertainty creates attraction. It makes her see him differently, not as the man who needed her, but as the man who's capable without her. The quiet comeback works because it's not about manipulation, it's about transformation. When you upgrade yourself, you change how you're perceived. You stop being the man reacting from emotion and become the man leading with direction. That shift in energy commands respect, and respect often rekindles interest. If Daniel had begged or tried to prove his worth through words, she would have felt control. But his silence took that control away. His growth forced her to see what she walked away from. That's the beauty of a quiet comeback. It doesn't announce itself. It simply unfolds until she can't ignore it anymore. So, if you've been ignored, take a page from Daniel's story. Don't make noise, don't chase validation. Just let your improvement become the response she didn't expect. Because when you evolve in silence, your presence becomes more powerful than any text, any call, or any explanation. Eventually, she'll reach out, not because you begged her to, but because your silence reminded her that men who rise quietly are the hardest to replace. 5. Make her feel it. When a woman ignores a man, most guys handle it the wrong way. They let emotion take over. They start sending paragraphs, asking why she's acting distant, or trying to guilt her with lines like, "I thought we had something real," or "I guess I wasn't enough for you." But every time you say something like that, you give her all the power. You show her that her silence controls your emotions. And that's exactly what she wants to see, that you're reacting. You see, when you try to convince her to care, you're doing the opposite of what works. The more you chase, explain, or seek validation, the less attractive you become. She doesn't feel regret, she feels reassurance that ignoring you worked. That's the mistake most men make. They think emotional honesty will win her back, but when you express it from a place of weakness, it only confirms her decision to pull away. Now, the right approach is different. You make her feel it not through anger or manipulation, but through calm self-control and unspoken boundaries. When she finally reaches out again, don't reward her with instant forgiveness or enthusiasm. Respond with clarity and confidence. Say something simple like, "I noticed you pulled away, so I gave you space. I don't chase what's not choosing me." That sentence alone holds more power than any emotional outburst. You're not begging. You're not cold. You're communicating strength and self-respect. That's what gets her attention, because she expected you to react emotionally, but you didn't. You handled her distance with maturity, and now the balance of power shifts. She starts feeling the emotional gap she created. She starts thinking, maybe I misjudged him. Maybe he's not like other guys. Another right move is not to bring up the past once she returns. Don't ask why she ignored you, don't demand explanations. Keep the conversation light, confident, and focused on the present. She should feel that you've moved forward, not backward. Because nothing makes a woman question herself more than realizing the man she once ignored no longer seems affected by her. You also make her feel it through your energy, how you carry yourself, how calm your tone is, how little you try to prove anything. That quiet composure becomes magnetic. You're not trying to win her back, you're simply showing that you were never dependent on her validation to begin with. Making her feel it isn't about payback, it's about reflection. It's about letting her experience the emotional silence she created. The man who responds with composure makes the woman reflect on her choices. And when she feels that distance not as punishment, but as consequence, that's when she starts to question if losing you was the biggest mistake she ever made. 6. Indifference wins. There's a special kind of power in a man who can remain calm when he's ignored. Most men crumble when a woman pulls away. They overthink, overreact, and start reaching out in desperation. But the man who can stay grounded, unbothered, and genuinely indifferent, that's the man she can't stop thinking about. Because indifference isn't about pretending not to care. It's about showing that your self-worth doesn't depend on her response. When you become indifferent, you stop playing emotional tug-of-war. You don't need to prove your value, chase explanations, or wait for validation. You accept the silence, and instead of resisting it, you use it to grow stronger. Women aren't used to that. They're used to being the emotional center, the one men orbit around. But when you stop orbiting, she starts noticing the emptiness you leave behind. That's when the dynamic flips. Indifference wins because it creates mystery. When she sees that her distance doesn't shake you, she starts wondering what's going on in your mind. Has he moved on? Does he still care? Is someone else in the picture? That curiosity becomes your silent advantage. You're no longer predictable. You're no longer emotionally accessible. And that unpredictability reignites her attraction. Because mystery always pulls people back in. But here's what most men misunderstand. True indifference doesn't come from pretending. It comes from genuinely focusing on your own life. You can't fake it. When your mind is still consumed by her, your body language, your tone, and your behavior will expose you. Real indifference happens when you've redirected your energy towards something bigger. Your goals, your fitness, your growth, your peace. That's when she truly feels your absence. Think about it. When you stop chasing, you stop feeding her ego. When you stop reacting, you stop entertaining her control. That calm withdrawal triggers a powerful realization. She no longer has influence over you. And the moment a woman senses she's lost that emotional leverage, she starts to question her own behavior. She starts missing your attention, your presence, your consistency. Indifference doesn't mean being rude or dismissive. It's quiet confidence. You can still be polite, still carry yourself with respect, but you don't bend your boundaries. If she reaches out, you don't jump to reply. You match her energy, cool, composed, and collected. That balance is what sets you apart from every man who reacts emotionally. When you master indifference, you stop being an option. You become the standard. She realizes that while she was busy testing your patience, you were busy upgrading your life. And that's when she starts thinking twice. Not because you forced her to, but because your calmness made her realize she lost a man who can't be emotionally controlled. That's why, in the end, indifference always wins. 7. Be the standard. At the end of it all, the real power move isn't getting her back. It's becoming the man she can't replace. Every man wants to be chosen, but few men position themselves as the standard that must be chosen. When a woman ignores you, she's subconsciously testing how strong your sense of self is. She wants to see if your confidence depends on her approval, and the moment she realizes it doesn't, that's when she starts chasing your validation instead. Being the standard means setting the tone for how you're treated. It's not about arrogance, it's about self-respect. You decide what kind of behavior you tolerate and what kind of energy you respond to. When she sees that you're not desperate for attention, that you're selective with your time, she begins to view you differently. Suddenly, your value goes up. Not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated it through your actions. Think about it. Every woman is drawn to the man who doesn't need her to feel complete. He's busy creating, building, and improving. His energy says, I'm focused, I'm grounded, and I don't chase what isn't aligned with me. That kind of presence commands respect. And the moment she feels that you're not waiting around for her, she starts questioning herself. She wonders, did I lose something real? Did I underestimate him? Will I even get another chance? The reason most men lose their power is because they try to fit into what a woman wants instead of defining what they want. The standard man doesn't beg for attention. He attracts it naturally. He doesn't argue for his worth. He shows it. He doesn't tolerate inconsistency. He distances himself from it. His silence is confidence. His boundaries are discipline. And his self-control is what makes him unforgettable. When you become the standard, you flip the entire dynamic. You stop thinking like a follower and start leading with purpose. You're no longer trying to prove your place in her life. She's trying to prove her place in yours. That's the ultimate shift. Being the standard also means staying true to your principles even when emotions run high. It's easy to lose composure when a woman ignores you, but real men hold their ground. You maintain your calm, stay focused on your path, and trust that the right people will respect your consistency. And here's what usually happens. Once she sees you moving forward, living with peace and confidence, she starts realizing you weren't like the rest. You were the man who knew his value before anyone else did. So remember, your goal isn't to win her back, it's to become the man who never loses himself again. Because when you become the standard, you don't chase validation, you inspire regret. And that's when she'll understand you were never the one who needed to prove anything. At the end of the day, making a woman question herself after ignoring you isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your power. You do it through silence, composure, growth, and genuine self-respect. When you stop chasing and start improving, she feels your absence more than any words could express. You remind her that your presence was a privilege, not a guarantee. The man who can walk away calmly becomes unforgettable. So don't seek to teach her a lesson. Become one. Because once you rise above emotion and master control, she'll realize losing you was her biggest mistake. And remember, if you're serious about mastering the dating game, don't miss out on my exclusive online course. We go beyond what's covered in these videos, giving you powerful insights from the first approach to lasting attraction. It's easy to enroll with a secure payment option. Visit stoicapproachtolife.podia.com or simply click the link in the description to secure your spot. Don't wait until it's too late. Take action now and start transforming your dating life today. I want to especially appreciate you for taking your time to watch till the end of this video. I hope the video helps you improve every aspect of your relationship with women. Until next time, this is Stoic Approach to Life.